Here, let me explain what he's doing. You go to YouTube.
Y'all too, didn't y'all? At Braselton?
Yeah, with another officer, but I watch these videos all the time, and they do what they call a First Amendment audit.
Right, he kept saying that.
And all they do is get a rise out of people and try to get us doing something that we shouldn't do, which it fails every time. But if you want to see what these idiots, and I'm going to call them an idiot because that's what they are. They get on YouTube. They go to different, and this is all over the country. They do this at police departments, post offices, places where you or I would go to do business and not record. I mean, you want to come in and do your business and leave, right?
Correct.
These guys are, it's just a pain in the ass person is what it is.
Hello, and welcome back to Legal Dissent, where we evaluate your constitutional rights before they're taken away. I'd like to start off with a few thank yous to people in the YouTube community who have really helped us out. First, to John Lang from Audit for giving us a shout out on his community page. Those of you who are not familiar with Audit, please check them out. If you enjoy what we do here at Legal Dissent, you will absolutely love his content as well. He's doing a fantastic job and is one of my favorite YouTubers. Next, a thank you to Esquire Audits, who started off as a member of our community here at Legal Dissent, and has now made their own video giving an update on the Monty Myers situation that we first reported on a few months ago. They've done a better job than we have at getting others in the First Amendment community to take notice, so well done, and thank you for what you do, Esquire Audits. Without further ado, we were asked by Average Joe Press to evaluate his very first audit. As always, you can find the link to his channel, the original video, contact information of the law enforcement agency involved, case law, and statutes located in the description below. Average Joe Press conducts a First Amendment audit of the post office in Braselton, Georgia, and is told that he is not allowed to film within the post office.
You're not allowed to videotape in the post office.
What's that now?
You're not allowed to videotape in the post office.
Yes, I am.
Hello? Hello? Hold on.
Okay.
At this point, the postal worker calls her manager, who then makes a call to the police.
Jackson County 911.
Yes, this is Lisa. I'm with the Braselton Post Office. I need a police officer to go to the main post office at 5216 Highway 53.
Okay, what are we going there for?
I'm not 100% sure. My postmaster just called. There's someone over there videotaping. There's only one girl working there, and she's apparently very upset.
You are legally allowed to film within the post office within reasonable time, place, manner restrictions. The post office lobby is an area that is open to the public, and anything displayed there has no reasonable expectation of privacy. The call to the police revolved around the postal worker's feelings of comfort or lack thereof because the auditor was filming and acting weird. Making someone feel uncomfortable is not a crime. This goes back to what we spoke about in our last episode, where we discussed how we live in a society that has a large segment of people who feel entitled to feeling comfortable all the time, and if someone disagrees with their viewpoints, opinions, or makes them feel uncomfortable, well, it must be illegal and it must be stopped. This is not freedom, and this is not based on the law. The police report states that the auditor was seen filming outside. He then entered the post office. He then began recording the employee and others without their consent. The police report claims that the auditor then claimed he could record under his First Amendment audit rights, which he didn't say at all. He just refuted her claim that he wasn't allowed to film without stating any authority, which I believe is significant because the police and the witnesses are trying to characterize the auditor into a persona that they believe has a negative connotation. The report goes on to say that customers were uncomfortable and did not want to be recorded, and that she was uncomfortable too. We don't see the customers seem to care or say anything. There's just one, and she's going about her business. Further, it states that the auditor refused to leave the lobby when asked. The auditor has not been asked to leave yet, so again, the report is stretching the truth to create a narrative that is not completely accurate. The auditor films random items in the post office for several minutes until he is confronted by a woman who claims to be the manager of the post office.
Sir, we're going to have to ask you to stop recording and to leave our facility, please.
I can't do that. I haven't committed a crime yet, so
It don't matter.
It's
You're not filming inside the post office.
I haven't finished my business yet either, so.
Okay, what do you need help with?
Well, help at the counter whenever I get a chance to get up there.
Hey, I'm at the Braselton retail unit. I'm the manager here. Could you send an officer out, please?
What's up, man?
You're not supposed to be filming inside the post office. It's
Yeah.
a federal facility.
I'm at the Braselton retail unit, 5216 Highway 53. Yes, he is.
I'm recording. It doesn't matter
We have a
who's
customer
in
in the
frame.
lobby. He's just not cooperating.
Yeah.
We're taking care of it, sir.
Yes, yes.
So there's a court case out of
Thank you.
the 11th Court of Appeals, Smith
Yes.
versus Cumming,
Yes.
and it gives you explicit right to film
Here, come on, let's just walk in.
film all of your government
Thank you very
employees and facilities in the course of their duties.
Thank you.
Now the manager has requested the auditor to leave because he's making people feel uncomfortable by filming, which is a legal activity. However, this is when we do enter a gray area. The post office does have the ability to trespass individuals from their facility. The post office, although owned by the federal government, still has the obligation to function as a business. This means that in order to serve the needs of their clientele, they must maintain an orderly place of business. Does that mean that they can refuse service to anyone for anything? Not at all. But it also does not grant you the ability to stay after you've been asked to leave. So should the auditor have left once he was asked to leave? Yeah, probably, as he wasn't attempting to conduct business of buying stamps or mailing a package or whatever he was wanting to do at the post office. A lot of people will point to Poster 7, which restates the law provided in the Code of Federal Regulations section 232.1-5I that states that photographs for news purposes may be taken in entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, or auditoriums when used for public meetings. If I were an auditor, I would never hang my hat on a federal regulation that has as many loopholes as this one does. First, it states that except as prohibited by official signs, directions of security personnel, or other authorized personnel, the courts would most likely find that the manager of the post office is an authorized person to tell you to stop filming. This regulation doesn't help you out much if people are telling you when you can and cannot film. Further, in the same regulation above this section, the code defines disorderly conduct in a post office as conduct which creates loud and unusual noise, or which impedes ingress or egress from post offices, or otherwise obstructs the usual use of entrances, foyers, corridors, offices, elevators, stairways, parking lots, etc., or which otherwise tends to impede or disturb the public employees in the performance of their duties, or which otherwise impedes or disturbs the general public in transacting business or obtaining the services provided on property is prohibited. Now, there is a ton of wiggle room in these types of codes, and I would not recommend anyone claiming that this will absolve you of any legal consequences for refusing to leave when you're asked to leave. Now, they are clearly going to attempt to make the case that the auditor was disrupting employees and disturbing customers to a point that it did impede upon the employees' ability to do their duties. However, there is an evaluation of reasonableness that must be applied here. The customer who was upset that he was being filmed without his consent has no reasonable expectation of privacy and is certainly willing to allow the post office to film him with their security cameras. Therefore, it is unreasonable for him to be disturbed by the auditor conducting legal activities. However, the source of authority you point to should not necessarily be a regulation, but to the Constitution that protects your right to film events and information that have no reasonable expectation of privacy because they are displayed to the public arena in a public building that is open for public access. We'll now turn to the phone call the manager made to the police and also take a look at her written statement.
Jackson County 911.
Hey, I'm at the Braselton retail unit. I'm the manager here. Could you send an officer out, please?
You're at the Braselton.
Yeah, we're at the Braselton retail unit, 5216 Highway 53.
What's going on?
We have a customer in the lobby. He's just not cooperating.
Is he the guy that's sitting there videotaping people?
Yes.
Okay, we've already got officers en route to you, okay? He getting more aggravated or?
Yes. Here, come on, let's just walk in here. Thank you very much.
Okay, not a problem. We've got them en route, okay?
Thank you.
In her statement, the manager tells the police that she was called in because the auditor was filming people and acting weird. Neither of those activities are illegal. Then went on to report the brief exchange with the customer as a verbal altercation. On the phone, when trying to describe why she needed the police, her answer was, he's just not cooperating. Again, this is a classic example of government employees demanding that the people respect their authority and acting like children when the people do not bow down to their magnificence. She then claims that multiple employees and customers asked him to leave. Only one employee asked him to leave, and that was the manager herself, and only one customer had an issue, that we could tell, with him being there. We will now skip ahead to where Sergeant Bagwell of the Braselton City Police Department arrives on the scene.
Hello.
I know he has a right to be here, but he doesn't have a right to aggravate my customers. So he's aggravating my customers. So I just want him to leave my premises because he's aggravating my customers. I've already spoke to the inspection service, the OIGs. They've told me.
Are you the manager here?
I am.
Okay, yeah, you have a right to kick him off the property.
Thank you.
No worries. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey.
Sergeant Bagwell, Braselton.
All right. You got your body cam on?
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like you
What's
do
going on today, man? Why are you aggravating people?
I'm not aggravating anybody. I came in here, take a look around the post office, do a little inspection of it.
What you inspecting?
Like to get,
What are you
the
inspecting?
facility, just checking it out.
For specific purpose?
Well, I've got a purpose, but you can't really divulge all your information all at one time when you're working on a story. You're trying to put pieces together.
They're trespassing you from the property, so I do need to see your ID.
Well, I can't be trespassing unless I've committed a crime. Is that right? Also, I need to be.
No, they have the right to trespass you from the
trespass
property.
warning first, so then you can just escort me off the property.
That's what
and
we're
that's
going to
about
give you,
it.
but we have to have your ID to do so.
No, you actually don't have to have my ID. You can just give me a warning and I can walk away, and that's all as far as it goes.
No,
but
sir,
again,
that's not the way we do it here in Braselton.
Well, let's not worry about how we do it in Braselton. Let's worry about how we do it, in the rest of the country. But before we're even getting to that point right there, let's circle back around to the fact of what's trying to lead you to that. You're trying to trespass me from public property that's open to the public. They have no right to ask me to leave.
They do.
They do not. Not unless I've committed a crime. Are you a sergeant? You're not a sergeant, are you? There you go. Can you get somebody else who's over you or even under you? Maybe one of your subordinates knows it better than you.
No.
I think they might. But they can't ask me to leave public property if I'm here to conduct my business.
What business?
That would be denying me service.
What's your business?
I'm working on a story that I'm trying to put together. I need to get some footage of the inside of post office and how everything's operated in there.
Okay.
And trying to get the footage I need. You do some walk through, you get what you need, you stand back, you get some what's called B-roll. You get some of that stuff taken care of. Mm-hmm. And then also I do actually want to make a purchase here too. Is why I'm here also to help support the post office. They've been struggling.
Well, it doesn't look like you're supporting. It looks like you're aggravating them.
I'm not aggravating anybody. Y'all are aggravating me now. I could have already got what I needed, made my purchase, and then left.
Well, not true. We got called here because you were aggravating people and you was getting agitated apparently.
So aggravating, what charge is that going to be?
Well, right now it's criminal trespass if you don't give us your ID so we can trespass.
Well, so to trespass me, you got to have
your ID so we can fill out a form.
To trespass me, you got to have a crime committed on the public property.
It is not true.
It is true.
It is not true. If you come on my private property and I tell you...
there you go. That's different.
It is not different.
Your private property.
Okay, who owns this?
The government owns this.
They have the right to tell you to leave.
They are not the government.
She is...
The First Amendment gives me the right to be here, standing here, doing what I'm doing today.
And she runs the property, and she has the right to tell you to leave.
And I haven't bothered any customers.
Well, that is not true. Otherwise,
I've helped people. In fact, I've opened doors for people as they walked in. I stepped out of line because they got busy.
Hey, start running tags in the parking lot. His face is going to pop up on one of them.
Trespassing in this instance would be governed under Georgia Criminal Code section 16-7-21-B subsection 3, which provides that a person commits the offense of criminal trespass when he or she knowingly and without authority remains upon the premises of another person after receiving notice from the owner or authorized representative to depart. Like most states, Georgia requires the individual to be notified before being trespassed. At this point, he has been asked to leave and therefore has been given notice. Should the post office have trespassed him? No, I don't believe so. Do they have the legal right to do so? Well, that's the gray area we talked about earlier, and I do believe that most courts would hold that they do. I don't necessarily agree with that conclusion in this case, but it is what I think would happen. There is a distinction between private property, public property, and publicly owned property that is designed for a certain purpose. If you're an individual impeding upon that public agency's ability to perform that purpose, then you can reasonably be asked to leave. The debate will be if the postal worker's belief that he was disrupting her ability to perform her duties was reasonable or not. On to the next point. Bagwell insists that they have to have the auditor's identification in order to trespass him. This is simply not true. There are multiple ways to identify an individual for trespassing purposes that do not require their identification. For example, if the auditor went back to the post office the next day, the employees and the officers would all be able to identify him based off of his physical appearance as the guy that was trespassed the day before. Therefore, there is no legal requirement or obligation to provide your ID to be trespassed from a property in the state of Georgia. Many auditors get mad when officers scan plates to get their ID. However, remember, whatever we expose to the public eye has no reasonable expectation of privacy, and the officers are allowed to legally gather information open to the public arena. We now switch to follow the body cam footage of Officer Anthony Walker as he has a conversation with the witnesses.
Is he allowed to me like we were in there, and he was just filming us, and I asked him, like, could you not put me on camera once I realized that's what he was doing?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
Yes, but once the property manager or representative tells him to leave, he's got to leave.
He did not leave.
I understand that.
Okay.
He's getting served criminal trespass right now.
Gotcha.
Here, let me explain what he's doing.
Okay.
You can go to YouTube.
Y'all too, didn't y'all? At Braselton?
Yeah, with another officer, but I watch these videos all the time, and they do what they call a First Amendment audit.
Right, he kept saying that.
And all they do is get a rise out of people and try to get us doing something that we shouldn't do, which it fails every time. But if you want to see what these idiots, and I'm going to call him an idiot because that's what they are. They get on YouTube, they go to different, and this is all over the damn country. They do this at police departments, post offices, places where you or I would go to do business and not record. I mean, you want to come in and do your business and leave, right?
Correct.
These guys are, it's just a pain in the ass person is what it is.
Okay.
But we're going to serve him. Now, he'll probably wind up being on the sidewalk. Good thing is, there ain't no sidewalk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I understand, but yeah, he's got he can film, but it's an annoyance. Is what it is.
Okay.
Need to put a sign on the windows of every post office in the United States and Sheriff's Department and everything else that says no video. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Sorry,
Thank
guys.
you, man.
You're welcome.
This officer believes that your rights are annoying. You exercising constitutionally protected activities is a nuisance. Your freedom is not dependent upon the whims of a police officer who finds you annoying. Rights are not developed to protect that which is popular or universally agreed upon. They are there to protect the statements people do not want to hear and the activities that could be viewed as annoying to others. The auditor and Sergeant Bagwell talk for several more minutes discussing why the auditor is there before Bagwell displays his ignorance believing that the post office is a privately owned entity.
And is the post office not technically privately owned?
No.
It's owned by somebody.
It's owned by the federal government.
It's owned by somebody.
Right? It's owned by the federal government, right?
It's owned by somebody.
Yeah, it's owned by we.
Well, you don't pay taxes here, do you?
Doesn't matter where I pay taxes. Tax money goes into the federal funds that get dispersed out everywhere else, right?
If you say
so as long as I'm a U.S. citizen, if I was a foreign citizen, if I was a foreign citizen and I came into this country, right, and I bought a candy bar, I have every right to come in here and do the same thing.
To film and aggravate people.
I'm not aggravating anybody. You're aggravating me.
That's not what they said.
They can say whatever the heck they want to say. They could say I was in there dancing on the tables.
Well,
but of course we know that I wasn't.
Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bar you from the property. If you feel like you need to get an attorney to fight the barring notice, then do what you need to do.
So you're going to trespass me from public property when I haven't committed a crime.
Look, they have the right to keep you off the property.
If I was to be charged with any sort of crime, what crime would you have charged me with today? What would it be?
Disorderly conduct.
Disorderly conduct in the state of Georgia contains a lot of actions that the auditor is simply not guilty of in this instance. However, the last section of the statute is important. This code section shall not be deemed or construed to affect or limit the powers of counties or municipal corporations to adopt ordinances or resolutions prohibiting disorderly conduct within their respective limits. This last part is important because the city of Braselton has indeed enacted its own disorderly conduct ordinance, which we'll address later on.
How so? I haven't been disorderly.
You've been in there acting disorderly.
I barely spoke to anybody.
Well,
right?
Was you asked to leave?
How is opening the door for people as they're coming in and out with big boxes, is that disorderly?
I don't know.
That's chivalry, isn't it?
No, I wasn't here. I don't know.
Stepping out of line so that some elderly lady and her, I guess, son or whoever it was,
causing a disturbance.
Yeah.
If stepping out of line so that people with a large amount of packages can get their business taken care of, since I'm not necessarily in a hurry,
like I said,
is that disorderly?
I'm doing my part of my duty.
You're not doing it very well, I got to tell you that.
And acting on what she wants done, okay? Right now, she wants us to serve you one of these criminal trespass notices, which we're going to do.
Well, you don't need to do that. I could just walk away because...
Well, we're going to do that.
I haven't committed a crime yet. I haven't been warned to leave the property yet.
Charlotte, North Carolina, showing place status.
It doesn't have to be. She don't want you to come back. We're going to serve you with this.
Yeah.
If you need to get an attorney, if you need to do whatever you need to do, that's between you and him. Okay.
You guys have gotten some bad reports from people lately. Over the past several years, yes, you have. You've gotten several bad reports that you guys do this kind of stuff to people.
Right now, we're going to focus on this criminal trespass warning. So, what's your name?
You can just put the location on there. You don't need to put anything else on there.
You do need to put something else on.
No. I haven't committed a crime yet.
Listen to me. Sorry.
What's your name? You ain't got no name tag on, do you?
Did
you rent that vest? Is that a loaner vest, a rental vest? You don't even have a name on you.
1 second. They've asked us to serve you with criminal trespass. We have to write your name on this paper. That's cordially what I'm asking you to do is for your ID.
This is incorrect. There is no legal authority in the state of Georgia that requires you to give your ID unless they have reasonable, articulable suspicion that you have committed, are committing, or about to commit a crime. Nothing that has been reported to the police has been criminal. Literally, all he has been accused of doing is filming the post office and making people feel uncomfortable. That is not criminal activity. Therefore, the police do not have the right to ID, and he has no obligation to provide it just so that they can fill out a form. It is not your obligation to do the police's job for them.
So I can serve you with criminal trespass warrant.
You're asking me?
Yes. I'm giving you a lawful order.
My mouth is so dry.
To provide me with your ID or name for this. Now, right now, you're obstructing my investigation and my duty.
I'm not instructing anything.
I'm going to ask you one more time, or I'm going to place you under arrest for obstruction.
So you're going to arrest me when there's no crime been committed yet?
You're failing to ID yourself to me.
Failure to ID is not a crime in Georgia. Obstruction of justice is defined in section 16-10-24 as a person who knowingly and willfully obstructs or hinders any law enforcement officer in the lawful discharge of his official duties is guilty of a misdemeanor. Refusing to do something that you are not legally obligated to do simply because an officer asked you to doesn't make you guilty of obstructing justice. This is, again, an officer who is upset that people do not respect his authority. The only Georgia statute that addresses not identifying to the police as a precursor to arrest is in section 16-11-36, stating that a person is guilty of loitering or prowling when a person is in a place at a time or manner not usual for law-abiding individuals under circumstances that warrant a justifiable and reasonable alarm or immediate concern for the safety of persons or property in the vicinity. Among the circumstances which may be considered in determining whether alarm is warranted is the fact that the person takes flight upon the appearance of a law enforcement officer, refuses to identify himself, or manifestly endeavors to conceal himself or any object. This statute clearly does not apply in the situation, and the police are wrong.
Which is required by law. When I ask you for ID.
If I committed a crime, what crime has I committed though?
You're not getting it.
Sovereign citizens, man. They don't think they have to abide by the law.
I'm not saying I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm here with the same rights as everybody else.
Call yourself, man.
I'm here trying to express my right as everybody else is.
If I walk up to that gentleman right there and ask him for his ID,
I'm trying to express my duty to serve you with this criminal trespass. That's all it's got to be.
Well, you can
ID yourself.
You can put Joe on there. You can put that on there. That's all you got to put on there.
Yeah, that's a false name.
How is that? You don't know my name yet, do you?
In itself.
Right?
That's because you're failing to give it to us.
If I told you my name was Bagwell, would you have thought that that's a false name? Probably so, right? If I tell you to put Joe on there, do you know if that's a false name or not? No, you don't know anything yet, do you?
That's why I would like to have
so
your
stop accusing me of committing a crime when there hasn't been one committed. Stop standing there and trying to put me into a hole that hasn't been dug yet, okay?
So, this is what we're going to do. I do need you to put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for failing to give us your information.
At this point, the auditor is under arrest for failing to give his information. That's not a crime. That is not a valid reason for arrest. This is an unlawful arrest.
You have any wrecks or anything going on the interstate? We've got traffic backed up and people are backing up on rail.
We have 2 wrecks that the SO has been out with since, correction, it's now 1 wreck
We have a lawful reason to do
been
this.
out with since this morning.
All this could have been
involving
prevented.
The tractor trailer.
It could have been prevented if you would have read the poster in there.
Trailer
Doesn't
portion
matter.
was overturned and there was lumber.
They have a right to
still
deny you
everywhere.
service.
She would read the poster.
They have a right
she
to.
would know.
They have a right to deny you service. They have a right to kick you off the property.
They do have a right to deny me service.
But
that's to be taken.
And they have a right to keep you off the property.
I haven't committed.
Once they've done that and they tell us they want you trespassed, we have to identify you so we can then fill that paperwork out, give you a copy, and then say bye. But you chose to go this route.
I will give you my ID.
It is too
under
late.
Threat of arrest.
It is too late.
No, you're arrested.
You're under arrest right now. Okay,
Mr.
This is wrong. There is no state statute that mandates he has to give his ID to be trespassed. After thinking about it for a bit, Bagwell realizes he can't arrest him for a crime that doesn't exist, so he decides to use the catch-all disorderly conduct ordinance put in place by the city of Braselton. The ordinance lists a lot of activities that could be considered disorderly conduct. However, the 2 items specifically that I'm sure the police officers will point to is the section ignore, interfere, or disobey a lawful command from a law enforcement officer in the lawful performance of his or her duties, or any person who knowingly or with intent to obstruct, misinform, mislead, or interfere with an investigation or the performance of the duties of a duly authorized law enforcement officer. The argument here is going to revolve around the terms lawful command and lawful performance. Demanding the identification of a citizen you have no reasonable articulable suspicion of committing a crime is prohibited by the 4th Amendment and is not a lawful duty of law enforcement, and therefore this should fail in court and be dismissed.
just writing for disorderly conduct under the city statute.
Okay.
Failing to provide his name. And serving with a trespass warning for this address. All right, so we're going to charge you with disorderly conduct today, okay, man? It's the lesser of the offenses.
There's nothing else we can do, seeing how I wasn't.
I tried, man. No, our city disorderly conduct means a whole bunch of stuff.
He's right. There's a bunch of stuff covered in the disorderly conduct ordinance. But you know which one's missing? Failing to ID is not in the ordinance. This officer is not being a nice guy charging him with a lesser offense. It's the only offense that he thinks is reasonable, and even this is an extreme stretch, and he is wrong.
Then, I would identify myself then.
We told you why we needed your ID. We have to. No,
They're
I
saying
told
I
you
was
this.
being disorderly. You're saying I was being disorderly.
Right now, to me, you are.
How am I being disorderly?
Because you failed to identify
I'm
yourself
speaking in
for
a
criminal
calm,
trespass
normal
warning.
voice.
And I was too. And I tried to explain it to you. You just didn't want to listen. And now you're in handcuffs and you're going to jail. I tried to give you the paperwork. I tried to let you get out of here, but you wouldn't listen.
All you guys had to do was say that I was going to be trespassing on property. I need you to walk off the property right now.
That's not how we do it here. Here, we have to get your name and information so we can log you down as being trespassed.
Here in Braselton, we violate your constitutional rights, and that's okay, because that's how we do it. Pathetic. This police department is disgusting. Before we get too convoluted here, the only reason he is being arrested is because he would not identify to be trespassed from the property. It has nothing to do with his behavior inside the post office, has nothing to do with his filming, it has nothing to do with the complaints of the employees or the customers. It has everything to do with him defying an unlawful order from a couple of cops who are used to getting their way in Braselton, Georgia. It is a clear violation of his Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. He has no obligation to identify because they have no reasonable articulable suspicion that he has committed a crime.
What you got?
Can I charge him with criminal trespass?
No.
Because you got to be warned first, right?
Yeah, he didn't leave and come back. I mean, technically we can, but let's don't go that route.
All right. So on this thing right here, what do you want me to put down here?
So we got to pull a case report, put C case report.
On this?
Yep.
Now, what do I give the jail down there is what I'm asking.
This. You handwrite, you write the crime, disorderly conduct. He'll get a copy. If the jail wants to make a copy, they will.
Just put disorderly conduct here?
Yeah, goes...
Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
City code section, disorderly conduct.
What's the city code section?
City ordinance.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up. It's 32-101 or something like that. I'll pull it up. While you're on the way down there, and I'll let you know over 3.
Okay.
It's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, left to right. So agency incident number. Don't write nothing down for court case number. The agency incident number is our case number.
So put case number.
Put our case number in here.
What the hell is RS?
Race, sex, height.
I got you. All right.
Yep. And then make sure you fill this out and give him a copy of it.
This thing?
Yep.
All right. Does he need to sign this?
You can ask him if he wants to sign it. He'll sign it, but more than likely he's not. If you want to just put refused, ask him when you get down there.
Okay.
And you can put refused on there if he refuses.
I just need this filled out when I get it.
Yep,
right?
and he's probably going to refuse to sign this too. Make sure you put the court case as April the 6th. But yeah.
Looking forward to this.
Oh yeah. Good experience.
Well, and I've seen tons of those videos, tons and tons, and I thought, first opportunity I get, 1095, I'm not going to stand out here 30 minutes and try to convince somebody.
No,
they all do this
shit. It done got to that point right before you said it. I was about to say listen 1095 because I mean they want him off property and trespassed. We got ID.
Well, I mean that's it.
And our disorderly conduct covers failure to ID yourself. So.
This is so unprofessional. I'm looking forward to this. It's a good experience. These officers are not aware of the law they're enforcing. They're assuming that things are covered in the ordinance that aren't there, and they lack a basic understanding of what they are supposed to be doing for their community. We have a term for people like this. Maybe Officer Walker can help us out with that.
See what these idiots, and I'm going to call him an idiot because that's what they are.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments below, and we'll see you next time right here on Legal Dissent.